So I've never really done this before, but I'm going to make, usually I just use beautiful canned tomatoes to make my marinara, but I had all these pounds left over of tomatoes from last year, and so I froze them, and I could have used them earlier. There's a lot of liquid, which we can discard through the strainer. So basically what I'm going to do with these is make a passata. Um, this is a passata. It basically means tomatoes that have been passed through a sieve. That's all it is. So I'm just going to, how many bowls do I need for this? Let's just keep those there. Throw the skin, so the skins came right off because they've been frozen. So we just take the skin off, put the pulp in there. I just want to show you how easy it is to skin them. Voila, after they've been frozen. And I'm getting good flavor, a good aroma from them. Means they're ripe. And look, the stem part comes off if you start at the top. So there we go. There's a little skin left on that one. Basically going through the wow, this is going very quickly. Basically passing through the sieve removes the seeds. You're left with the juice, but we're going to cook that off. And oh, there's some skin. Okay. So I'm just going to keep doing this. Plop. Here's the top. Plop. Oh, this is going to be good. And here's my second bag. I'll get back to you when I'm done with this. So here's the deal. I have all those tomatoes that look exactly like canned tomatoes would. I just skinned them. And I don't know whether I want to bother making a passata out of them. It seems like I just use, the juice is nice, it's beautiful color, means it's sweet. There's pieces of stem, which I could take out. I don't know if I need to, when you're cooking it down and there's no skin, I mean, the only thing that bothers me is seeds. And I'm just going to use them as if they were canned whole tomatoes. That thing doesn't look bad. I'm going to pour it back in here, all, with the pulp. And I'll just use this passata as a backup. I don't need it to be that refined because this is a marinara that's going to be cooked down. So basically I'm going to take the pulp in the strainer. This is kind of an experiment because I usually just use canned. So what I'm going to do is put all the pulp in one bowl and squish a bit. And then I'm going to strain out the seeds. And that'll be more or less like a passata. So here's the pulp. Okay. It's quite a lot. And then I'm going to use the big pot here, but you're going to have to get the garlic going before you do that. So put that in there. All the pulp. Here we go. All the pulp. All the pulp's in there. And now we're going to strain out, keep the juice, strain out the seeds. That's the plan. I think that'll be good. I'm thinking on my feet here because I've never done it this way with frozen tomatoes, but the bounty of the harvest was I mean, there were thousands of tomatoes, and I cooked tomato things for all the way till December, if you remember. Anyway, so when this is done, we'll begin the marinara. That's okay for now. Okay, folks, I just wanted to show you how much, um, how many of the seeds I got out, which is probably the majority. Let's get more of the pulp and the juice in there. We can see this looks like, gosh, if I had bought 4 large 28-ounce cans of whole tomatoes, it would probably be this amount. So what are 4 by, so we got the seeds out, and we kept the pulp and most of the juice, but not the water from freezing. So it looks like that, and it looks just like what you would do if you just bought canned, and it looks kind of like that. Although this is actually, you know, in reality, you would use a food mill to get it all down, and I just don't want more things in my kitchen. I have enough. And a food mill is just the grinder thing that allows you to pulp it all down. The fact is that when you cook this down for an hour and a half, I just use the masher, and it's perfect. So we're going to start with the garlic and oil in the big pot, and add that soon after. And as you've seen in my YouTube video, that cooks down for a good hour, tasting, and then you season, and you add torn up, shredded up basil, and that's your marinara. So I'll have a good amount for this dish, which I'm doubling for my cousin. Okay, you start that we have our delicious homegrown tomatoes, not pureed, not passata, just skins off, seeds out, just like you would if you bought say 4 cans of tomatoes, whole tomatoes. This heat is on. I'm going to, because it's such a large amount, I'm using 6 cloves of garlic. And sliced. Oh, sliced like that, little pieces. There's a famous restaurant in New York, Italian, that has online a 30 clove. See how they just come out like that? A 30 clove garlic marinara. And I've tried that one, and I didn't really understand the purpose, because there's only so much garlic you really can handle. So let's put some oil in here. I can feel it heating. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 tablespoons, or a little less. It's starting to ripple already. I'm going to divide this one in half, so it's smaller pieces. But we don't really need anything. We don't need, here's one that needs to be divided. They'll divide when cooked. We're just doing slices because that's all you need for this, because it cooks so slowly and for such a long time that you don't need to have, what do you call it, minced or crushed. Well, crushed is good for even longer times for the, in stews. Minced is for flash frying food and doing stir fries. And sliced is good for sauces like this, which are going to cook. Okay, there's a little sizzle. And basically, you don't want any browning. You just want the aroma of the garlic to come up. Yeah, this is just gonna cook in the sauce and provide flavor for up to an hour. So as soon as at a certain point, I'm going to turn the fan on. You won't be able to hear me, but I'm just checking. I don't want it to be browned. I just want the aroma. We're basically flavoring the oil. Okay, there's a tiny bit of browning on the small pieces. Time to throw in the tomatoes. And now we wait. Actually, no, not entirely. What we want to do is, oh, that's splashed. We want to get this to a boil. And you know what? I don't know how much I need, but I think that's considering how wide the pot is, that's probably enough. If it cooks down, you know what? Maybe I'll add a little passata, just to show you how it doesn't harm anything to do that. And if it cooks down too much, so I've used a third of a jar. I don't usually use that, just to be honest. I've never used it before. So we want this to come to a boil before we turn it and simmer it. And I'm not going to put the lid on because we want everything concentrated. So you know how that goes. You don't need to wait for me. And then I'm going to check it at, I'd say 40 minutes. Okay, folks, back to the marinara. It was supposed to be simmering. It's kind of got quite boily. But it's been 40 minutes and it's reduced. You can tell by the rim, the perimeter of the bowl, of the pot, that it's reduced by half. That should be enough. I would like to taste it, but first I need to mash up the pulp. That pretty much simulates what one would do if one had a food mill to begin with. And I do like it chunky, but not watery. Okay. And I'm going to scrape the bottom. There's no burning, which means we had a good temperature going. Not too hot, just enough for a simmer. It hasn't been seasoned. Let's see. Oh, it's going to be hot. Hold on. Tastes pretty good. I think it's time to add the salt. Just, I don't know, a teaspoon, or half teaspoon, I'd say. I prefer to flavor with pepper. That's going to be, I guess, a half teaspoon. I'll add a little more salt. Okay, let's see how it goes. This will, I think this is probably thick enough. See? It's going to bake down when we make our cannelloni, but I'm going to have leftover for pasta sauce or any other use. But I think it's got a good thickness to it. Looks good. Let's taste it again. There's a torrential downpour outside, and it seems really loud. That tastes good, very tomatoey. Okay. So now I only have a little basil, so we can turn that off. And we're just gonna shift and add some basil and let that steep in there before we move on to making our spinach filling. I just want to get all the basil, whatever basil I have, I could find, because you know, hashtag food desert, no basil. Anyway, for 2 days, no basil. That means a week, because deliveries only come once a week. So, gotta take that off the heat.